Alright, so I'm going to trim this mug. We've got it set up in our Giff and Grip, which is a nice little clamping device. It comes in and you spin it. And it comes in and clamps on the side of your cup, holding it in the middle. And what I need to do is get rid of all this schmutz from my fingerprints where I was pulling these off the bat as I was throwing. I think we threw 48 of these. And just instead of having, putting them on bats and taking them off the wheel, I would just wire them off and lift them off, and you end up with some of this fingerprints and some little dents from your fingers pulling them off the bat. So I'm going to carve all that away, put a foot right here, a little bump, and then a recess on the bottom. So I start by carving a little burr away. Come down and smooth off all the marks from my fingers. Carve a little recess for what's going to be the foot of the mug. And then I'll take this clay here away so it's a nice clean line from the foot transitioning into the rest of the mug. Trying to get it as smooth as I can. I'm going to come back and rivet with a rubber rib. But you want it to be as smooth as you can. Get as few of these little lines you might be able to see there to not be there. These last few cups are getting a little firm. They're not quite as wet as the rest of them were, a little harder to carve. So, start there. I'm going to make a recess in the bottom. Start by carving a groove in to establish the width of my foot area and how deep I want the recess to be. And then I start in the middle, go down a little bit, and then go out, and start carving away the excess clay to make it a nice smooth bottom. And then in here I'll round these corners off. Both directions. Don't want a sharp corner there, I want it kind of soft and round. Then I'll come back with a rubber rib. Smooth out all my trimming tool marks. Burnish all the little spots smooth. Get rid of all my marks on the side. There you have a cup that's waiting to get a handle put on it. Nice little trimmed foot. Ready to go. That's it. So we're going to make some handles for our mugs that look something like that. And Angie's going to start and extrude out a tube, not really a tube, more of a dowel rod of clay, if you might.
Yeah. This is our caulking gun extruder. So we're going to start by making 3-inch long. And then we're going to roll it out. I'm going to taper the ends just a little bit.
So you're going to make a little carrot?
Yep, make a little carrot.
How long do you want it to be?
We're going to go to about 4 1/4 inches.
And we do this so the mugs will look pretty consistent, the handles on the mugs, when we're making a big batch of them. You don't want one mug to have a little skinny handle, one mug to have a big fat handle. And this gives us a little more consistency using the little extrusion method here, but we end up pulling the handle and doing a hand-pulled handle instead of just an extruded handle.
So you're kind of flattening it out to get a nice taper on the clay, so then the handle will have a nice taper to it and not be the same. Flatten that one out just a little bit and stretch it just a tiny bit more. Okay. Now we're ready for Scott.
Handles. Here's one of our future Dangerously Spiky Mugs that's been trimmed. Now, we're going to put handles on them now. So what I do is I come here and I score a little box. And this is where the upper attachment point is on the mug. And I score it like that. Then I come down and I make another box where the lower attachment point's going to be. And I know just from practice and doing them, that's about where it's going to be. Now I have a vinegar and slip, and slip, and I just get that a little bit wet where that attachment point is there, and then down here where this one is. And then I give it a little bit more score just to get that vinegar in there, get it working. The vinegar sort of acts like a glue. It bonds the clays together. Okay, I set that down. And I take one of the handles that Angie made me, and I slice the end at an angle. That gives me a little slight pitch to it like that. And then I will score this. This clay is really soft. A little will slip there. Then take it and attach it to the mug by pressing. Give it a little twist, making sure we're good and attached. And I lift the mug up, and then at the bottom, I make sure we're good and attached there on the back. Give it a swipe with my finger, and that gives me a nice clean attachment on the back. Then dip the whole tail down in some water. Make sure it's good and wet. Keep my hand wet. And I start to pull the handle down. I kind of coil it to make sure it's not getting too wide. And keep it nice and straight. I'm squeezing a little tighter towards the bottom to taper it. Until I get it about as long as I want it to be. Got a written gauge on the side of our slab roller for how long these handles need to be. And I come over and measure, and I need to be just a little bit longer. That ought to do it. Now, for these mugs, we like a little concave, so I take my thumb and I press in and I lift the handle. Just like that. I sound like Jada. Just like that.
Just like that.
All right. Rinse my hand off. Dry it on a towel. Switch my hand around. Take it. Make sure we're straight. And then I press the lower attachment point to the mug. This little extra flap. Squeeze it together. And force it back onto the mug. And then I work that little tail until it's all blended together and nice and smooth. Smooth out all the little imperfections. Can come in here and where this handle's a little soft, pull it back out, get a nice curve to it. And I take a tool and I come up in here and smooth that top connection point. Something like that. There's pretty much a finished handle. Just need to go and do a little final cleanup on it after it firms up a little bit. That's about it. Handle.
Very nice.
We have some mugs that Angie has spiked for us already. See, they're pretty big. Here's the next one in line, waiting to be spiked. It's got its handle on it. And then here's Angie putting the spikes on. One at a time, spiked as spiky as you'd like.
More spikes, the better.
There you go. And this is what they look like when they're done.
Ish.
Angie tells me ish. These still need to be bisque fired after they dry for a while. They'll probably dry for at least a week, maybe 2. Then they'll be bisque fired and then glaze fired. Pretty cool little mug.